Hey everybody, this is Spinner Rack. We're back doing comic reviews. We have Petey here, and we also have
Calvin Ellis, ready to rock.
Now, there's been a long time since since Bendis joined the Superman crew, and he's been on a roll for many issues, and it's not stopping yet. We have behind us Superman issue 6. He's fighting. We have Zod in here. We have, how do you say it? Because I keep going to Roger Zool. And tell the audience what his name.
Rogol Zaar.
Oh my God. I'm sticking with Roger. I'm not doing it.
Hey, Rogol Zaar. It's like a Rogaine.
Okay, Rogol Zaar. Thank you. He got it. He helped me with it. So once we got Rogol Zaar and they're in the Phantom Zone, this is a big fight. Now, Bendis has now worked with Ivan Rice, and they've almost had an all splash page issue here in issue 6. And it's just, this one is, even though the story isn't ending, it doesn't come to a conclusion. There's basically this amazing thing where Bendis is definitely a person who's into more dialogue, but he understands the form. When you do all splash pages, you have to have something to sort of slow down the reading. So he is like just paging and looking at the picture and then moving to the next one. So he has many passages of Superman thinking as the story goes along, as both of them are trying to fight Rogol Zaar, and then next thing you know, something happens and Superman is taken out of the fight. And we find that there's 2 other issues, the issue in the Phantom Zone and the issue on Earth. Now, I'm not really for this story going on for this long, but Bendis is on a roll. We're having a little bit of fun. It's only one villain that he's really been fighting. So I wish they would sort of end this to move on to the next stage, because ultimately, say this would be most comics a 3-issue thing. And maybe it's going on longer, but even it's going to go longer than the classic Captain Marvel story that was like 24 issues, but that was the first time it was ever done.
Oh, you mean the monster?
Yes.
Monster Society?
Monster Society of Evil. So it's like, if you're going to do, I don't know, that is one point. I mean, Marvel Comics and Superman Comics have done long-running stories, this, that, and the other, but not this long. And they have long threads, but then you give us short things, even if there's a longer story. And that was one of the tricks. Well, I guess when they said Marvel was struggling with Shooter, that he was saying you can't really do 3-issue stories. So Marvel, they were finding ways to do longer stories, but doing short, closed stories, but Fantastic Four being like the negative zone. So you get an ending each issue, but at the same time, it's a longer running story. At this point, I want to see some sort of ending to this, but ultimately, it's the Superman that I'm checking out more than the stuff that was happening beforehand, especially the New 52. So, got to hand it over. And let's hear what the Superman aficionado has to say. Cal, what do you have to say about this?
So I get the book in my hands, and I'm glad that I actually opened it up. I'm, so careful about my books now. I want to keep them pristine and clean, but I've been looking forward to it. So I was like, okay, let me open up, and pow! As soon as you open up, it's this giant. Well, as soon as you get past that first page, it's this wonderful splash page. Ivan Rice's art, and it's just like in your face. I was like, wow, I'm so glad I didn't go digital on this one, because you got to see it in that form to really appreciate it. It's a fight. The colors are popping. It's just really good. And I got to the point, before I even read it, I just started flipping through, looking. I want to see how many pages of this I was actually going to get. And then going through some more, get to the end. And then I went back. I must have gone through the book about 3 or 4 times, because I guess that first one, I just was like so consumed with the art, just looking at the pictures and then coming back.
But let's stop right here and say he liked it, and we're moving on. Spinner Rack out. Let's.
Nice try. Now, then you come over and I get to the story. Look, the story is not. Look, this story started in Action Comics 1000. Had about 10 pages there. Then we had 6 issues of the Man of Steel.
Wait a second. There was the 2 issues. And there was 2 issues before Man of Steel. So
what 2 issues were there?
It was, remember they had the short story? They had a little bit of short story.
Yeah, that was in Action Comics 1000.
No, well, not Rogol, but I mean, it's been this run, dealing with this, him and the Daily Planet. So you can say, yeah, it wasn't in Man of Steel. So I got you. Keep going.
Oh, you mean those short bits that you're talking about?
Yeah,
okay, so
yeah.
we get that. So that brings the number up. Yeah, those 6 issues.
That's what I want to get.
So we had those 6 issues. Then we have the 6 issues of Superman, which are primarily dealing with the Rogol Zaar story. Action Comics is its own thing, but even, I mean, I can't even, you know what, that's its own thing. We'll deal with that in a different instance.
Okay.
So, and then we had in the Man of Steel where John went off to go travel with Jor-El. Lois went with him. Some of that got resolved in Action Comics. Some people happy about it, a lot of people not. But I'm looking at it, and story-wise, I was just like, this is just going on. Okay, this is like literally like riding like a stationary bicycle. You've just been in place, you know, going at different speeds, and unless, you know, it's not really going anywhere at the end of the day. Now, normally I'm very critical of this. However, I have to say, and I'm not 100% certain why, I am still enjoying this run. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
The art is definitely one thing that's been keeping me on. I like some of the internal dialogue for Superman, where he's like, the whole fight takes place, according to him, in seconds. And these guys are throwing like literally hundreds of thousands of punches in that second. Where he's like, no, normally I think 3 times faster than everybody, with the exception of Barry Allen. If my head is screwed on correct, he's got the time to think this type of stuff, which I like. I like somebody who's willing to actually think about and play with Superman's abilities and not just go with, okay, he can fly, he's really strong, some heat vision, he's invulnerable. Okay, that's pretty much, no. Actually think about it a little bit. I like who was this again? Scott Lobdell's run on Superman I actually enjoyed because he actually wanted to play around with the science fiction aspect, his powers, things that he could do, you know, trying to master the possibilities along those lines. And Bendis seems to be along there as well. Now, some people are like, hey, they want to see the Superman family back. They want to see Lois Lane and they want to see John. And I'm in my mind of like, look, obviously Bendis doesn't want to write that. He doesn't want to do it. And he's put them off to the side, which, to be quite honest, is the best thing that you could hope for, because if not, he'd keep them in there, and then we're going to have like Avengers disassembled or something, except it would be the marriage disassembled, and you'll get it from Bendis. He'll be like, okay, they're going to get divorced. And he'll be like, no. In my mind, I'm never going to really have them get divorced, but he'll make them go through the whole thing and the court, you know, the pre-trial, all this other type of stuff. Do you really want to go through that? No, because that might be the only story that he has to make the Superman family interesting at the end of the day, and that would be at your cost. And we already went through that with these New 52 stories where he lost his powers and Lois Lane outed him, and he's you know, riding a motorcycle, running around in denim and a t-shirt, buzz cut, just terrible. So now I'm looking at this, and it's just it reminds me very much of a Bronze Age type issue where anybody could come in at any moment and pick this up. It's very engaging in terms of what Superman is doing. The weakest part of it is the overall story. We don't know anything more about Rogol Zaar than when he was first introduced. He's still fighting his way over. The only thing we know is that he's able to take out Zod, and that's saying a lot. You know, there's really like, okay, who is this guy? I don't necessarily need the story to wrap up. But you really need to explain what happened to Krypton, what was Jor-El's involvement, who is this Rogol Zaar guy, why is John Kent at the end of this book now a grown, you know, he's a teenager, not a grown teenager, but you know, he's grown to the point that he's a teenager. Those are questions that need to be answered. But I mean, for the most part, and I have to admit, I thought Bendis would come here and do something a la House of M, like no more Kryptonians, and then I'd get like 6 issues of no Superman or something, or some totally deconstructive bent that would have been unhappy. But so far, he's done no harm. It's nothing that can't be picked up and put right at the end of the day. So it's been a cool ride so far. Okay, not a fast ride or a slow one. Okay, but a cool one so far.
Well, he's implemented something different than what he's done in Spider-Man. I didn't read the later runs, but the first Ultimate Spider-Man was like a 6-issue story, and he doesn't put the costume on until issues like 5, like at the end of it. Then issue 6, he's Spider-Man, and that's the first trade. In this, he's done the have them fight, have them separated, have them fight, have it look like Superman's going to die. Like there's always been a lead up to a conclusion, and then it's like another issue that's going to be great for the. I mean, I'm going to wonder how people are going to read this in the trade, because they're going to be like a omnibus edition of so many issues, and basically you get a lot of action, a lot of great artists, and it might be fun to read it that way, but it'd be like, I guess the same way Crisis was at some points, where it's like issue 3. I'm gonna kill the Monitor, and then it goes to a whole issue where nothing's happened, and they finally kill the Monitor at the end. It's like, it was supposed she was, set there to do this, but this is that done times 10. Like I think in Crisis you had, who was it? What's name gets beat, the Animatic gets beat, comes back. And then he comes back again later on after the Flash. And it's like, all right, guys, how many times? And this is like taking that like to the nth level, because this guy is just like either kill Superman or what. I mean, have them move about if you don't have an ending to get to some other things to interject, because he's coming back. He's that big. Have some other characters you want to interject in there, because there's also still Bendis was king of the clubhouse of superhero, where Superman comes back to Earth and he runs into a couple other, it was Adam and Adam Strange, and they tell him what's going on, and he has to go save things. So I just wish if they wanted to keep this going, to interject some other villains and come back to Rogol Zaar at some point, so they can have this long, never-ending story, rather than just since Man of Steel and since the intro has been this character. But at the same time, and I believe it's been successful, so what can you do?
Oh yeah,
people
he's a top 10 book. It's a
the
top
thing
10
is-
book behind what was this now? Like Batman?
Tom King.
Yeah, it's a top 10 book.
Man, it's crazy that that's
It's accessible. It's accessible. The
Yes.
art is great. It's fun. It's
it's not, even if it's one of the few long running Bendis stories where you can open up and be like, because I would open up Ultimate Spider-Man. It's like, what is Gwen saying? What is this character saying? It didn't read like the character. At least the character seems to be in character, and it's not what they were doing before, because that was really hard. Even when you had Jeff Johns in the book, it's like, I'm not sure what's going on with this character. So, I mean, it's going. It's the freight train is going. It's actually one of the things that's almost in a loop, though. The freight train is moving real fast.
the freight train
But
is
it's like,
freight train is still getting started. It's like
they're showing you different stuff from different. It's almost in different angles, because it's like the first one started with him it seemed like he was going to kill Superman, and now it's like, but I mean, he's utilizing his power. It's in evil way. Bendis is using power in evil ways, but in fun ways. So I guess we'll be here. We're just doing a countdown on when is this going to end, because I'm not sure. I'm not seeing it end yet.
when the numbers go down. Or not.
Will it be the first actual will he get to 12 issues? And that'll be like,
Are you kidding? This guy's gonna be there as long as he wants. Look at those numbers.
No, I mean not him leaving, but Rogol Zaar, is he gonna be in the next for the first year? And he was also in
I would
Man of
love for
Steel?
Rogol Zaar to actually be a credible Superman villain, especially since he's been used so much in this storyline. I would love for him to be a credible Superman villain going forward, and not to become a stock villain. Like Mongol was a very credible Superman villain in the Bronze Age. And then you get him after Crisis, and he becomes stock. He shows up, he becomes a better Green Lantern villain at the end of the day. I would like a credible Superman villain. And so far, I'm still holding out to see what the whole situation is. Because as of right now, this is still some stuff at the end of the day. I'm like, okay, Superman, you should have beaten this guy already. There's got to be something else going on here. Why haven't you just taken this guy out? And even in the fight, he's saying, look, in the last issue, he was like so upset. He was like, you know what? I just let the Phantom Zone stay here when I know if I really want to, I have the power to just destroy this whole place and be done with it. So I was kind of like, Superman's strong enough he's powerful enough to take out the Phantom Zone? And I'm like, okay, this is some stuff over here I'm interested in. Not interested in seeing him take out the Phantom Zone, but interested in knowing that, okay, this guy is, literally capable of doing this stuff and he's holding it back, but this guy is pushing him to the point that he's even considering it. And then over here in the fight, where he's looking at the two of them, he's like, I should just let the two of them kill each other, and I'll be okay at the whole end of it. But there has to be some sort of resolution to it, and part of that is understanding who Rogol Zaar is. But Superman's rogues gallery tends not to be as good as Batman or Spider-Man, because to be quite honest, a lot of these guys, you really can't bring them back after he's defeated them. Metallo, you get rid of the Kryptonite heart, he's pretty much a done deal. Lex Luthor's the only one who's viable because he can't hit or harm Lex Luthor, and we know Lex Luthor's never going to be able to stay in a prison, so he can always keep coming back to plague him. But a lot of the other guys who are strong men, once he's beaten them, that's pretty much the end of it. If this guy could be a credible threat in the form of what Mongol was, I would like that. But other than that, just make him at least credible for the storyline, and if he's not optioned by anyone else, that'll be fine.
Yeah. I guess that's it. So we'll check back on you because since it's not ending, we hope to get you a review of the end.
You're going to see a lot more Superman coming down the pipe. Okay, if not from the both of us, definitely for me. So look out for it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Check it out.